Okay, so today is the day 4 of the Python Games Camp, and we'll be continuing what we are doing from the last three sessions. So, in the last three sessions, we learned about the main game loop, colors, and images in Pygame, and today we're gonna go ahead and see about text and shapes in Pygame. So we can just go ahead and create the projects that we're supposed to. Okay, so today is a lot of things that we're gonna do. That is, we're gonna handle texts and shapes in Pygame. Okay, text in Pygame. So that's just the image of some letters and in Pygame. Okay, so right now we just created the screen on which we can display images, and there's nothing we can do on that screen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and put some text on the screen. Now, about let's recall about the word blitting that we learned about in the previous session, in the images session. So blitting literally means to just put something on the screen. Now here we're gonna learn a new term called as rendering. RENDER, render. So what it basically means is that you're gonna draw something imaginary on a surface, not on the screen, on the surface. What when you draw that same thing on the surface, that is your screen, that is when we call bleeding. So just make sure you know the difference between these two things. So basically, bleeding is something to put on your screen or your game window or whatever you call it. And rendering is just making imagination of a drawing of whatever you're thinking of. So without any further without wasting any further time, let's go ahead and write the code for the same thing. So here there's just an illustration of how the code would look. So I know you know about functions, of course, calls. You know Python, so you know functions in Python. So this is a user-defined function that is known, not known. I call it text, display text, or let's say, and we'll see it as we go ahead. So from the few sessions we have been basically filling the screen with some color or adding some images and blending the images. So now what we can do is we can just keep off the images, and we should fill the screen with blue color. Okay, so right now what it looks like, just a second, let me delete this. Okay, right now our window looks something like this, a blue color background with let me change the caption real quick. Not images, it should be text. We're learning text today. So text and some image icon, window icon, and there's a blue color. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna define a function as in the image. Now right now I'll call this function yeah. I'll be calling this function something as I'll be calling this function display underscore text. So here right now we're defining a function that is defined by me or the programmer or the user, and in this function that we call display text, just write the syntax. Okay, now right now now there's a lot going on, just a second. Not text, but font dot font and phrase sans bold. Okay, phrase sans bold dot pdf and something like 30. Okay, so right now there's a lot going on here. So first things first, we define a variable that is D, and that holds the value of this. Now what this is, so first of all, pygame, that means we're going inside the library of pygame. Next, font. So basically what we are doing is we're going into the font library, that is like another package inside Python, pygame. So pygame is the package, and you can say font as some kind of group of some functions that holds various functions related to text and font. And here there's a function named font with a capital letter of F, and free sans bold.ttf. What that means is a TTF is the extension and free sans bold is the font family. Now you can't just give any family font family in the word and just put .ttf about like after it. There's a systematic process that you have to follow, which I'll show you in just some time. And after that, after the comma, there's a number or the integer that is for the font size. Okay, so now I'll be creating that imaginary drawing or the imaginary image that I told you about when I explained rendering. So what I'll call it is ren. Just ren is d dot render. So render is the name of the function. Okay, now here we are on this line, so you know what we are doing. Okay, so after this there is something we need to see. We give a string inside this. Now inside the string will be the text we want to display. Right now I'll call it text. After a comma I'll give true. I'll tell you what it stands for, and after that I'll give a color, that is the text color. In my case it's red. Okay, so this is the this line of code creates the imaginary rendering, like drawing. That means you create the surface on which you create that imaginary drawing, not drawing you can say, but the text blended on that surface, but now we have to blend it on the screen. So now this true means the visibility of the text is true, so like the text is visible right now. And if I keep it false, then there's nothing on the imaginary surface. Now let us give another statement that you must have learned in the images session, screen dot blend. I'm gonna blend this renting onto 100. Now this is the coordinate, the coordinates like the x and y coordinates that intersect, and that is the point we start blending onto. That we talked about this in the images session, I think, or like, yeah, we talked about. So right now our screen color is blue because we fill it with blue, and here we have covered it with red so that it's visible. So the blue color of the screen and the red color of the text, I hope so. So it should be visible, right? So I'm saying so times. Okay, so right now we have to call this function in the main game loop so that it appears to us. So display text is the name of the function. Now let's run it to see some piece of text on the window. This piece says text, and why it's red in color, cause we defined it so. And this thing, let me just exit it. And this red is a variable that holds the value of 25500. We talked about this in the colors session, colors in Python. Okay, so now how do you get this free sans bold TTF? Now by default this file is in each and every computer, or let's say laptop. So I'm using Windows 10 right now, so I just don't know like for till what version of Windows or Macs or Apple items is it available. I just don't know. So maybe it's available for each and every laptop in the world, I don't know. So right now we're using this free sans bold font family. So that is why it renders text like this. Now, if I want to increase the font size, I say 50 and I run it and the font size a bit bigger. Now, what if we want to use, just a second, that's in our agenda, right? So what if you want to use, sorry, some new font family? And for that, first you have to go to Chrome. I'll just show you how to download it. So as you can, after going to Chrome, you can go to google.com and say, uh, the font family, the most one that I know is Orbitron. So Orbitron. So it's a kind of a font family. Why is this called? Sorry. Orbitron font. Okay. So this is the font style, or let's say the font family, each and every letter in the font family. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. So let's say font download. So if you want to download that, you can just go ahead, and there must be some websites. You can just go on to that website, this website, and the most famous of all is Google Fonts. So it will show you a variety of things you can get it from. There must be some kind of download button. You can just select this thing, and yeah, you can just increase the size so as to see it more. And I just downloaded this thing. Mostly you get it in a zip file where you can get the lighter and the darker, or the thicker, you can say, the thickness of the font, and you can get variety of things in a zip file that you have to unzip and paste it in the folder. Right now I have this ob.ttf that I just downloaded the Orbitron font family folder of that, which contains like all the stuff you have inside that. And that is what a TTF extension file looks like. So yeah, that's a text file. And once you import this text file into your folder and then you use it in your code, the Pygame library will understand that you are trying to render this particular piece of text here. So that's how you basically get a text on your screen. So whatever text you want to get, you can just go ahead, delete this string. You can say Pygame. I'll just show you the Orbiton library used. So right now it's in free sans bold font family. So I just have this ob.ttf file in my folder, so that's why I can use this ob.ttf thing. And if you run this again, the same piece of text will be in the Orbitron font family. Okay, so that's how you get to change all those font families and things like that. Okay, and yeah, you can change the color of the font just like here. Instead of red, maybe I'll keep it black, and the screen color will change just like so. Pygame, and maybe I'll keep the screen color white. So let me just give the white. So that's how you can create amazing things like that. That's not amazing. It's nothing is amazing to you create a game. Okay, so black, and here we go with right. Go around, play with it, so you know how everything works out. If you have any issues like downloading the stuff, then maybe go ahead and like try to get that. Come on. So basically the important points to note down here is freesansbold.ttf is a default thing, not a default thing that's available on your laptop, so you can use that in this string so that mm, the Pygame library can access it, and after that the comma is the font size, the integer, and here the in the render thing First comes the text, next is true, that is the visibility. If I change it to false, then the text won't be visible. And next is the color, which we defined here in the RGB values. Next is we split the thing into red and give it some coordinates. So now let's see how we can use this particular function in a game. So like for example, we are creating a quiz and we want to blade like every piece of text on the screen, the question and the options. Right now, now we can't just go ahead and write a different function for each of the text. Like I have 100 questions, so I don't have to write 200 functions that will split the options and the questions. So what I can do is let this font family be the same cause I wanted the same. Now instead of here, that is the size, so I can just go ahead and change it as size. Inside the thing, like inside the parentheses, when you define, you can just give something as size, that when we can go uh, ahead in the main game loop, we can go ahead and define each and every size, like not 202, like let's give 50. Okay, now here is the text. Now this string can be replaced with another variable that's called text, and text comma size. We can take two inputs from whatever. Now of course I want the text to be visible at all times, so let's keep it the same, that is true. Now the color, we have the color to be changed of course every time we just go ahead and want to blend some text. So color, here comes color. Instead of this white, let's get some color. Okay, now blend. Now screen dot blade, keep it as it is. Now rend will be the same. We don't need to change anything of that. And these coordinates have to be changed. So let's keep them as x comma y. So these are the things we can take from the user. So we are taking the font, the text that we want to go ahead and blend on the screen, the size, that is the font size, and the color of the text, and the x and y coordinates, that is where the text should be blended. Now the screen is too small for me, that is 500, so let's change the width to like 700 or something, so that we have more space to blend more text. 700. Now right now I won't call this function. The screen is like so right now. Okay, now I want to blend a piece of text right here. Okay, I'll call it text only. So what I can do right here, and that is the advantage of functions and variables. So basically I can just give the function that is display text. Okay, now the text. So first of all, let's give it is text. Be simple. The size, so it should always be integer, else you will be with some errors. Now color, first I want it to be of red color. Next is the x and y coordinates, so let's give the x and y coordinates, maybe 200 and 200. Now what we can do is we can run to see this piece of text, so that function is being called. Now I don't need to write another function, I can reuse the same function again and again. So let me do that another time. Display text, and just give text again. Now is the font size. Now let's change the font size to 60 just to experiment what it looks like. I want to get it in blue color this time. The coordinates should be a little bit down, that is 500. Let's see how it looks like. So right now you can see, oh, it's going out of the window. So let's change where it's split up. Maybe we have to change it around the x-axis. So 400 and 500. Let's see if that makes some difference. Okay, it's, oh, it's just a second. Just delete that. Text. Now instead of 400, let me give it something like 300. Come on. Okay, so now we can see some text blurred on the screen again. No, so this is how you can use the same function as many times as you want, so that you can blend different pieces of text on your window. Okay, and that is basically how you do it. So enough for the text part. Now, okay, just a second. If we just go ahead and change the free sans bold, so you may see there's a difference in the text. So just make sure you download the file, and yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, you can see the difference in the font family. Okay, enough of it. Now talking about shapes, let's get back to our presentation. Now shapes in Pygame. Now what is a shape you can think of? Square, rectangle, triangle, and circles, of course, and line. Okay, that is, so basically we start with a line. Okay, so what a line is, it's just um something from where it starts to something from where it ends, and there's some thickness. Let's talk about the things we need into consideration that we can use to build a line in Pygame. So assume that there's a window on your screen, and you have to choose. Firstly, you get the point from where the line starts, so you require two values for that: the x coordinate of the point and the y coordinate of the point. So that's where from that's the point where the line starts, and you've got another point where the line ends. So the point can be anywhere. So if the point is here right now, so like the starting of the line. Now the ending of the line can be anywhere inside a circle, or let's say not inside a circle, but wherever you want, as like as far as the window is big enough to take that point. And the thickness of the line. So we need two values for the starting point, the two values for the ending point, the color of the line, of course. You can just get away with some default color, and the thickness of the line, and one more, that is where the line is to be blitted, and that's on the screen, of course. So what we can do is use this function screen. So right here, firstly, okay, I don't want to use the pens. Yeah, we can go to Discord and then. Okay, so line. So there's a screen on which the line has to be blitted. Then you give a comma, the color, the starting point, the ending point, and the thickness of the line. Let's try it out real quick. Okay, we don't want to waste time in this thing. Just comment it so that we don't have to erase that whole thing. Okay, so you need just one statement to build a line on your game window, that is pygame dot draw. Now draw is just another group of function like font, and inside this you can get access to many functions like line. So right now we are using the pygame dot draw dot line function. So after this, what you have to do is you can just set the display surface, that is screen. Now what the screen is, if you don't know, this is the variable that holds the value of the window, that is set mode and all of that stuff. Okay, screen. After that I give a comma, I give the color in which the line. Right now I'll give it blue. Now I'll give the starting points, and remember these things have to be inside brackets. So let's say 100, and with a comma I have to give the ending points that are, let's say, 300, 300. And now this is optional, like you can give the thickness of the line, and even if you don't, it won't matter. Like if you don't give the thickness of the line, it will remain default. If you give, let's say, the thickness of the line, we give it as 10, so the thickness will be 10 pixels. Now let's run this to see what the line looks like. So here it is, the line. Now the point where it starts from is 100 as we defined, and the point where it ends is like 300 respectively. So the first set of values is the start point, the next set of values is the end point, and at last comes the thickness. So just a second. Okay, now if I change this thickness from 10 to 20, let's see what would happen. Run this. So now you can observe that the line is a bit more thick, and that's basically how you create a line. Now you could create 2 or 3 lines in the same manner. I'm gonna do just one more line so that we can see how it looks like. Okay, so we're gonna use the same function. Now I'm gonna keep the color of it as blue, no, red. Sorry for that. Now we can just say I start from 400 and 400. Now make sure these values are inside the height and width of your window. If not, then the line is somewhere else, and we can give it as 600 and 600. Just give let's make sure everything's correct. Is it okay? Yeah, good. Now right now I'm gonna give it a thickness of 10. Right. See another line. Good. It's looking good, right? Okay, enough of it. So basically that is the function you use to draw a line. Pygame.draw.line. Simple to memorize, right? Now the display surface on which you're gonna blend the line, the color of the line, starting and ending points inside parentheses for values for that, and optional is the thickness of the line. Good, we've covered line. Rectangle. Now next is rectangle, and it requires just 3 values. Now the third value is inside. No, it's a tuple, and there are many values in that. Okay, so in the same way, you can just go pygame.draw.rect instead of line. RECT stands for rectangle, the short form of rectangle maybe. Now here again we give screen, that is the surface on which we have to blend the line, and blue, that is the color. Now this is just an optional color that just came into my mind, blue. Okay, now the set of these 4 values are easy. So the first 2 values are the x and y coordinates of the top left corner of the rectangle. So 400, 400. So that means the rectangle starts from 400 and 400, and the next 2 values are the height and the width of the rectangle. So in this case, the last 2 values are 20, 20. That means the height and the width of the rectangle are same. Now this is how you create a square, cause the sides of the square are same, right? Let's create a rectangle. Pygame dot draw dot rectangle. Now here you go. A rectangle is displayed on the screen. Give it a color of red. I want to get no red is used. Let's say green, new color. Now the set of 4 values. Right now I have to start it from maybe 100 and 450, and I have to end it at let's say no, not ending, the width and the height. So let's say 30 and 30. The square right now. Let's say 30 and 50. Good. Let's run it, and yeah, you can see a rectangle over there. Now this point is 400 and what we give? No, this point is 100 and 450. Now 100 is the x value, 450 is the y value, and the height and the width are 30 and 50 respectively. Now let me make it a bit bigger. I don't like small rectangles. 100 would be much more big, so let's say 50. No, 100 is good. 100, and so height is 100 and width is 200. So that's a perfect rectangle. A rectangle. Here we go. Now if I want a square, I have to keep the last two values same. As we know, the sides of the square are same, so 100 and 100, and that will do. That's how you create a square. Now we have created lines, we have created squares. Now let's create a circle. Talking about circles. Okay. Circle. Here we go. Pygame.draw.circle. Let me just get a circle. So the first three letters are very easy to memorize. That is pygame.draw and line rect and circle. No, not a big difference. Now, firstly, there's the value that is screen that comes first in each and every case. And next is the color, of course, in which you wanna get the shape. And here we need just three values. That is, firstly, the center of the circle, the x and y values of the center of the circle, and the radius values of the circle. Now, till now, all the values I have been talking about, they are in pixels, pixels, pixels. Okay, so you remember what's that. Now let's draw a circle. Pygame.draw.circle, circle. Good. Screen. Give a color white. It comes the x and y values of the center of the circle. That is 300, 300 right now. And then the value of the radius of the circle. Let's say I'm gonna give it 90. Okay, so the radius of the circle is 90. Oh, a circle. Oh, so good. Let's change the center value of the circle so that we can keep it a bit more farther. 400, 500. Looks good. Oh, 500, 400. Let's try 500, 400. So 500 and 400. Maybe this will work. Okay, yeah, good. So we have created lines, we have got some thickness of the lines, we've created rectangles, we know how to create squares out of rectangles, and we know how to create circles. Now comes the question. Now Pygame won't have a separate function for each of the polygon in the world. There are many quadrilaterals, right? There's a parallelogram, triangle, I don't know, hexagon, octagon, decagon, and there are many polygons in the world. And there are some polygons which don't have a name, like a random polygon, which has 10 sides and it isn't a decagon. So for that, Pygame has a function called polygon so that we can just draw any random polygon in the world. Random polygon. Here you can see all the various types of polygons. Now this is just some. In the world you can create many polygons like here. So that's basically about shapes. Now let's go ahead and draw some random polygon. So basically what we do is we go pygame dot draw, of course, and say a polygon. So polygon is the name of the function. Now again, first value is screen, next value is the color. In this case, I'm gonna keep it white again. And here you have to give, okay, here you have to give a set of parentheses inside which you can have unlimited sets of parentheses. So here we go, 100, 100. That will be my first point. Just a second. Okay, good. Now inside this, I'll have another set which says 100, 100. After a comma, I'll give some more values, say 200, 200. Another value. Now inside these two set of parentheses you can have unlimited set of parentheses inside which you can have unlimited values, not unlimited values, two values of the x and y coordinates. Now what will pygame do in this case is it will get all of your values from the values you provide. It will just point out each and every value inside the window and join them all. So that will make your random polygon 300, 300. Let's say give a random x and y coordinate, and for 3 we don't even have that. How can I give that? Okay, and give a comma. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can have 5 values so as to start this thing, and then we can also have 6 values or 7 values or 8 values or even 10 values. Now let's see. Now this is the random. Second, I'll just comment these so you can see the random polygon that we made. Good. I'll run this. So this is the random polygon that we made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have we given 6 values? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what it looks like is pretty good. That is the random polygon that we made out of it. Now basically what pygame is doing is it's just printing out all the dots, like it's just getting all your x and y values. It's just printing out the points or the point that those x and y coordinates intersect at, and then they're just joining every each and everything out of that and giving it the color that we gave. Like, yeah, now let's make the points a little farther from this experiment with all these things. So firstly I give two values inside the first coordinate, then another one. I'm giving 4 digit numbers. Okay, another one, another one, uh, and one more. So, and this the last one. Sure, 553 and 263. Looks good. Run it. How it looks like. We created quite a big polygon in my case. Okay, so that's basically how you create a polygon. Okay, so you can create any random polygon with this function. So that's all about shapes. Now let's see what we're left with. Circles, so lines, rectangles, which we can also use to create squares, circles, which we can also use to it, no, circles are circles, and a random polygon, any random polygon in the world. Thank you. Okay, so you might have a doubt, I think, like how can you just get about the text, like how can you get the where's that? Oh yeah, the TTF files. So I don't know if you have this thing in your head for so long. So well, I'm just gonna show you how we can get this. So let's say I go to Google Fonts and just go to Google Fonts and get some fonts. Like it will have fonts in different languages also, maybe, I don't know. Now if you go to Google fonts.google.com, that is the website name, you will find like endless fonts here. Yes, they're endless, like you can just count. There are many of these, so I'll just show you how we can get one of them. So let's say I got this thing, so I just click on that, whatever it is. Now it will show you the fonts size, and we can just type in to see how the letter looks like. So just select that any thing. Good. Okay. Now select this style. You can just click on select this style and you can just um, zoom in or zoom out. Select this style. Now instead of this, you can just say download, download font, and there will be some kind of file here. When you just show it in folder, that's how I just downloaded it. Now this is a zip file, and you can just extract these files out of here. So you can just get this thing and copy the same thing, like say copy to, and on your device you can copy it anywhere, and mostly in the folder in which all your code is, just like so. So yeah, that's all we did today, right? We talked about text shapes in Pygame. Shapes are looking pretty good, right? And just want to revise you with that render thing, because there are three statements on how to split the text. So let's see that real quick. I'm not gonna take any values because that will be a bit longer. So g equals pygame.font. That's the function. Here I give ob.ttf. Make sure the font file is in ttf, and give the integer value, that is the font size. Now another variable which will render the same on an imaginary surface, pygame dot, oh no, sorry, not pygame dot render, let's say g dot render, and the text that holds the value, the text. Now true, that is the visibility, and the color, right now I'm gonna give it green. And after all, you have to blend it on your screen. So that's how you do that. What is that? Render now? No, the and the coordinates on which you have to give it. Now, just want to show you. So let's comment out all these things so that, sorry, comment out these things so you can see the font or the text on the screen. So text function, or a text function. Good. And this, and you can see the text in the same file. So let's say you've got this zip file, and right now I have software. Now this is the ttf file for the same. Now we can just copy to, just go ahead and share, not share the location, maybe make sure the location is correct. I'll just go to the location. Oh sorry, what I did. Okay. In this I'll just go ahead and get my thing again. Okay, and okay. So now if I go to the same place in my folder inside this, this is the file, that is the ttf extension that you can get. So if you just preview this, you'll see all the, sorry, this is the Orbitron thing that I downloaded. Now this is the font that we just downloaded from Google Fonts. So what we can do is we can just copy this inside our folder of this thing. We can rename it as fo, that's it. And we can just go on to main.py, and here inside a function we can just go ahead and give the font thing. And now you can see the font family. The text here is written in the same font family that we downloaded from Google Fonts. So basically that is the process how we do it. So you just go to Google Fonts, download it, unzip the files, extract the files, and copy it to the folder you're writing your code in. And after that, you just render it as I showed you. Now that's enough for today. make sure you remember all these things, that is dot line, the values inside them, or the pixels, and how it get the fonts and everything. So thank you all of you so for like attending this lecture, and make sure to like this video. Good. Now I just hope the stream has ended now. I'm just closing all of my stuff.